I guess I'll be smelling like herbs for the rest of the day. That must be some really strong tea if it's leaving off a smell when you spill some on your shirt. I love you for who you are and wouldn't have it any other way. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Caesar Madrazo here, and welcome back to Doki Doki Outcast. Now, in the last episode, we saw the aftermath of the festival, and the other members of the club discovered, or not discovered, but they talked to us about our new relationship with Yuri. And where we ended, it looked like we were about to have our first date. So, let's just pick up right where we left off. Act 2, Chapter 3, our first date. It's Sunday, which means I get to see Yuri. She told me on Friday that I can come over at 11 a.m. I check my clock, 9:37 a.m. I've got time and should use it carefully. And that means I should start with a shower. After I get dressed, I head downstairs for a quick breakfast. I'm not too hungry, so I decide on toast and a glass of orange juice. I eat my breakfast and brush my teeth. Another short scene that we've seen so many times before. Alright, I head out my door and start heading to Yuri's house. I walked her home almost every day this week, so I've become familiar with how to get there. To my surprise, she only lives a few minutes away from my house. Wait a minute. Hold on, if you've walked her home all week, then why would it surprise you that she only lives a few minutes away from your house? Whatever. Okay, I arrive at Yuri's house. I ring the doorbell and patiently wait. Yuri opens the door and greets me with a smile. I can tell she's excited for today. Caesar, thank you for coming. I've been really anticipating this weekend. Me too, thanks for having me. Please, come in. Yuri lets me in. As I enter, I immediately take notice of how clean and organized everything is. Even though my shoes aren't dirty, I take them off out of courtesy. Just like when I had Yuri over for the first time, I'm sure she tried to make things a bit cleaner than normal. Yuri closes the door behind us. That's very thoughtful of you, Caesar. I didn't even have to ask. Well, if the game tries to imply that this is happening in East Asia, then it's pretty standard to take off your shoes when you enter somebody's house. Like, living here in Korea, literally every non-public building that you enter, you have to take off your shoes and put on a set of slippers. And even some public buildings, like there's certain restaurants that require you to not wear shoes on the inside, and there's some schools, or actually pretty much every school except for colleges, they require you to take your shoes off when you enter. So, I mean, it's not that uncommon. Oh, well, manners, I guess. Manners, I guess. I respect that. Your house is just so clean. I can only imagine the amount of work you put into making it look this way. Well, I might have done a bit of cleaning before you came over. I can tell, you did a great job. Yuri averts her gaze, blushing as she does so. You're too kind, Caesar. I try. Hoo hoo hoo. Yuri giggles at my petty joke, clearly enjoying herself. Petty joke? I thought that was just a standard remark when somebody says that you're thoughtful or that you do a good job or whatever. I mean, I say I try all the time because, I just don't know what else to say. Like, somebody gives me praise that I kind of feel like maybe a little overboard. I mean, I don't want to be rude and say, yeah, you're going too far. So I just say, yeah, thanks, I try. So, what would you like to do? Yuri thinks to herself for a moment, almost as if she hadn't planned for my arrival in advance. Well, I mean, maybe she hasn't. Maybe she just thought that the two of you would wing it. I can't blame her, though. I'm not usually the greatest when it comes to organizing events. I'm not sure, actually. I don't usually have company, so I apologize if I'm not the best host, Caesar. Nah, you don't have to be sorry, Yuri. I haven't lost interest at all. I don't mind what we do as long as it's with you. Yuri once again smiles to herself. It's a sight that feels like a small reward whenever I get to spend time with her. Well, would you like to read some more? We're getting close to the end. Yeah, I'm really curious how it ends. Excellent. Shall we get started then? Okay, let's do it. Well, I don't know. There's a couple of ways you could take this. Like, it could be sort of like Yuri sort of asking like, hey, do you want to come in for some coffee? You know, like that subtle, hey, you know, now that we're alone, we can enjoy reading alone. Not to say that they're gonna, you know, like do anything crazy, but just, you know, they can be just more intimate than they would at school without pushing the boundaries of anything of PG-13. But let's see. Oh, I almost forgot. Yuri stops in her tracks. Would you like a cup of tea, Caesar? That would be great. So this is essentially just exactly what they do when they're at the club, except it's happening at Yuri's house instead, which, for a first date, that's kind of boring. Just like, hey, you want to do exactly what we do with each other at school? Like, that sounds like a fun date, right? Would you like any help? No, I think I'm good. You can go and sit down in the living room. Make yourself at home, Caesar. Alright, thank you. Yuri went to make tea for the both of us, so I walk into the living room. I take a seat on the couch. I slowly glance around the room, taking in the scenery. It's very elegant, just like Yuri. There are entire shelves filled with books and collectibles. There's also some scented candles on the table. The top layer of the candles are melted away. Yuri must have let them sit for a while before I came over. Well, okay, so Yuri said that she didn't have any events planned, but she thought enough ahead to light candles to set an aroma and to clean up the apartment. Or, I mean, assuming she lives in an apartment. If this is East Asia, most people do, unless they're really rich. So, I don't know. It seems like Yuri did do a bit of planning here. If she didn't actually think about what the two of them were going to do together, it's either because she wanted the player to decide what they were going to do, or, I mean, I don't know. I guess it could have just slipped her mind in all the other planning she did, but I don't know. This seems a little strange of an oversight for somebody like Yuri. Either way, I love the scent it left in the room. Within a few minutes, Yuri brings a tray out into the living room and sets it on the table in front of me. The tray holds 2 cups, a teapot, and even a plate of cookies for us to enjoy. Thank you, Yuri. You're welcome. Yuri starts pouring a cup of tea for each of us. As she does so, I grab the book and flip to the page where we left off. Yuri sits down next to me. We hold the book in the same position, with me holding the right side and Yuri holding the left side with one hand. She's even closer than before. So same thing as I was saying before. You know, they're able to read alone together. However, in the game, they make it sound like they got pretty close. You know, it even said in the dialogue, now I have to be careful not to touch her chest because she is so close to me. And even saying her other hand is practically resting on my lap. I mean, how do you get much closer than that? Just like usual, Yuri wears her intense reading expression. She really gets into her reading. As we read, I notice that her hand is available. I hold her hand in mine as we read. At first she doesn't notice, but then looks down. She smiles. You don't mind? Not at all. I actually kind of like it. Well, I mean, why would she mind it? The two of you held hands on the way back to the club room after you had your conversation from the festival day. So at this point, I think she would be pretty used to it. I smile and we continue reading. As we read, I notice that Yuri isn't having as much of a hard time focusing. I think it's because she's used to it now. We enjoy our reading together in complete silence. We've been reading for quite a while now. I've noticed that I haven't had a sip of my tea. I don't want it to get cold. As I release my grip on the book, I attempt to grab my cup. I manage to clutch it, but I end up spilling tea on myself. Ah! Oh my goodness! Caesar, are you alright? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry, I was trying to grab my teacup and accidentally spilled it. It's my fault. I should have let you stand up. Nah, Yuri, it's not your fault. I didn't say anything, so you didn't know. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. The tea was sitting there for some time, so it must have cooled down. I looked down and realized that I spilled tea all over the floor. Ah, I'm sorry, Yuri. Here, let me clean it up. No, it's okay, Caesar. I'll take care of it so that you can go wash up. I feel a little bad. I spilled the tea, so I feel it's my responsibility to clean up. Yeah, in that situation, shoot, I wouldn't even ask. I'd just be like, hey, so where do you keep your paper towels or your rags? Are you sure you don't mind, Yuri? Yeah, don't worry, Caesar. It's no trouble at all. Well, alright. Where's the bathroom again, Yuri? Where's the bathroom again? This is your first time here. It should just be, where's your bathroom? The bathroom is just down the hall, the second door to your left. Thanks, I'll be right back. Alright, take your time. Damn! This looks like a college dorm bathroom, or like a one-night stay hotel bathroom. I exit the living room and go to the bathroom to wash up. It wasn't too big of a spill, thankfully. There's a towel that's hanging on the rack. I dampen it and begin dabbing my shirt in an attempt to remove the tea stain. It's not coming out so easily. I have a few methods to remove it, but as of now, it's not worth dealing with. I guess I'll be smelling like herbs for the rest of the day. Wow, that must be some really strong tea if it's leaving off a smell when you spill some on your shirt. In the meantime, I should head back to Yuri. I won't let this interfere with our date. I go back into the living room to find that Yuri isn't there. Uh-oh. Where is she? I turn around and find a door in the hallway that is slightly open. So, prediction is that's her room, and she got a little overly excited from what was going on, despite the fact that nothing has really happened yet. But she got overly excited, so she went into the room to give herself a little cutting sensation. Maybe she's in there? I walk towards the door and go in. It's an empty bedroom. Yuri's, I'm guessing. On my left, I see a shelf. It looks pretty standard at first glance. I then look at one shelf in particular. It contains a knife collection, with each knife held up by their respective display. I take a closer look at them. They all come in different shapes and sizes. Where do you even get knives like these? Well, that's throwing back to the original question you had in the original game. All of a sudden I hear footsteps coming in my direction. I turn around and see Yuri. She looks a bit shocked to see me. I see you found my knife collection. Yeah, it's quite the collection. I'm sorry that I barged in. When I came back from washing up, I couldn't find you. I saw the door was open and I was curious. Oh, it's okay. I was worried that you'd find it eventually. Well, I mean, you already showed him that you like knives, and he said it was a cool thing for you to be into, so why would you be worried about that? I don't know. I guess, you know, like I said, young couple, self-conscious, so, yeah, okay, I take it back, it makes sense. What? Are you ashamed of your collection, Yuri? No, not necessarily. I was just afraid of how you'd take it. This is the reason why I insisted on going to your house when we had to work on the festival decorations. Yuri, you don't have to worry about it, I promise. You mean you're not creeped out by it? Remember what I told you when you first came over? That I wasn't here to judge you? Yuri nods. Well, it's true. It's just simply a hobby of yours, right? If you like collecting knives and no one's getting hurt, then what's wrong with that? Yes, Yuri answers almost immediately. I mean, yes. It's just a hobby of mine, that's all it is. Well, if you like it, then I can't take it away from you. Like I said, I'm not creeped out at all, Yuri. Thank you, Caesar. I knew you'd understand. You always do. Yuri and I hug each other. Would you like to hold a few of them? So this is just a variation on what happened when Yuri came over to help with the festival. Just she's sheepishly allowing you to hold her knife, except this time it's knives. Just please be careful this time, alright? We wouldn't want you to cut yourself on accident again. Of course! We discuss and hold some of Yuri's knives for a few minutes. They're very interesting. Just like with her books, Yuri has an extensive knowledge about her knives as well. Yuri told me they come from a variety of different cultures and backgrounds. She also mentioned how each knife has their own purpose, giving each one an identity of their own. Pretty neat, don't you think? Yeah, I'd say so. I never realized how much purpose a knife could have. Many see them as just a way of killing someone or something, but there's more to them than that. I have to give you credit, Yuri. Initially, I used to think knives were just dangerous objects. But they really are more than that. You certainly know how to change my mind on things. Again, going a little bit into manipulation territory here, like, oh, I thought that knives were just these crude things, but you've shown me that knives can be this amazing world of life and beauty. You're taking this a few leagues too far, man. Well, thank you. As I said, when I gave you writing advice for the first time, you have to enjoy the little things. Not only that, but you never judge a book by its cover. I couldn't agree more. So if you don't mind me asking, what got you into knife collecting in the first place? Well, it was actually my father. Your father? Yuri nods. He's always traveling for work, and one day he came back from his trip, and he brought me a small pocket knife as a souvenir. I don't see him very often, so I started collecting them as a way of keeping him in my thoughts. It's a little weird, I suppose, but that's how I got into it. Not at all. It just shows how much you care for him. What about your mom? Does she travel a lot too? My mother? I actually don't know much about her. She passed away when I was only a few years old. Ah, wow. My father has told me stories of her, but I only know so much. He doesn't particularly enjoy talking about her. Yuri, I'm sorry. No, don't be sorry, Caesar. You didn't know. It's sad knowing Yuri lost her mom, let alone at a young age. Both of my parents are still alive and together, but I hardly see them. I can only imagine how hard it must have been for Yuri's father to raise her, especially all on his own. I make an attempt to bring some positive vibes back into the conversation. Do you remember much about her? Yeah, way to bring positive vibes back into the conversation, man. Hey, I know you just told me that your mom is dead and that, you know, it's a sad subject for you, but let's talk about her a little bit more. What was she like? Well, I do remember my father telling me that my mother loved to read. He said that she always had a book in her hand. I guess you could say that I get my love for literature from her. Yeah, I can see that. There's silence between us. Would you like to go back to reading, Yuri? Sure. We head back to the living room to continue reading. You see, you should have just said that, instead of saying, hey, let's talk a little bit more about your dead mother. I hope that I didn't upset Yuri for the rest of the day. I think you might have, man. Maybe not in the mod, but I think, you know, in real life, that would kind of be a Debbie Downer for somebody. I think reading might help her take her mind off this whole conversation. The conversation that you insisted on continuing, you mean? Time passes and we eventually finish the book. What an interesting book. I really liked the ending. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. There's something I've noticed while we've been reading, Caesar. Oh yeah? What's that? Not only have you enjoyed reading more, but you've been getting faster as well. I think to myself for a moment. Huh, I guess I have. I honestly didn't notice. I think back to when I first started reading with Yuri. I was very slow compared to her. It makes me feel happier about how my reading has improved. You should be proud. I smiled at myself with enthusiasm. Yuri and I look at each other. I can't even put into words how much Yuri means to me. Young couples. I look outside and realize it's getting pretty dark. It's getting late. Oh, is it time for you to leave? Unfortunately, it is. I wish we had more time. Yuri has the look of disappointment similar to the one when she first came over. I understand why she feels this way. I'd love to spend more time with her if I could. Don't be upset, Yuri. We'll get together again very soon. Yeah, as in tomorrow at the club, right? I mean, it's Sunday. You're gonna see her at school tomorrow. I know we will. Yuri walks me to the front door. I had a great time today, Yuri. I did too. I can't wait for the next date. Me neither. Well, just wait until tomorrow at the literature club. You pretty much did today exactly what you always do at the literature club, so by that logic, every day that you read together at the club is a date. Well, I'll see you later, Yuri. Goodbye, Caesar. Be safe on your way home. I give her a reassuring nod. As I'm about to walk out the door, Yuri gently grabs my wrist. Huh? Wait, there's something I wanted to say. I wanted to say that Yuri struggles to finish her sentence. This seems like it would be an appropriate moment to say I love you if she didn't already say it before. You mean so much to me. Okay, so it's just another rehash of the conversation from the hallway. I'm still amazed at how you enjoy spending time with me, even if I'm different. It's very rare for me to share my life with someone else, let alone my own hobbies. But you being here makes me really happy. I'm so lucky to have you in my life. I've been so lucky to have you in my life for these last, 5 days? Or 7 days, roughly? No, wait, no. So almost 2 weeks at this point. So yeah, okay. But 2 weeks, yeah. I smile. Just thank you for being here with me. For talking with me. For spending time with me. For respecting me. I love you, Caesar. I don't deserve you, but I'm happy to have you in my life. Yuri averts her gaze again. I hope that doesn't sound weird of me to say. I mean, it's basically what you said to him last week during the festival, so that's just how I feel. Not at all. In fact, I'd say I'm the lucky one. You're one of the most gentle, kind, and down-to-earth people that I know. You've gotten me interested in so many new things. Reading, knives, tea. I think that's about it. You've opened my eyes up to new hobbies. Hobbies that I would never have known about if it wasn't for you. I would even say you've helped me grow as a person. I could never thank you enough for it. You're amazing, Yuri. I love you for who you are and wouldn't have it any other way. Here we go. I don't let Yuri finish. I instead pull her into a tight embrace and kiss her very passionately. Wow, okay. That went from about a 2 to a 10 very quickly. So, I mean, we didn't even have, the peck on the cheek, the light peck on the lips. We just went from, hand-holding immediately to pulling her into a tight embrace and kissing her very passionately. Wow. She's really surprised at first. Even I was, but I did it anyway. Yuri closes her eyes and returns my embrace. Her grip is gentle but firm. It sends a tingling sensation around my body. Her lips are soft. Yuri's surprisingly very good at kissing. I can tell she's into it. Ah, man. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't either. Well, I mean, of course you're into it. You're kissing your girlfriend. I mean, I don't know, like, the way that they pointed that out, it sounded like they're trying to turn this into something pseudo-sexual, which, for a mod, a DDLC mod, yeah, it's not that surprising, but just, like I said, it went from 2 to 10, and now it seems like they're trying to turn up the dial even higher, just like a little too early. Yuri's even slightly humming to herself. If that means what I think it means, then my point is made. I have this weird feeling in my stomach. However, it isn't a bad feeling at all. It's just a feeling of happiness. Is it just me? It's probably just me. Maybe Yuri. We continue kissing for a while. Well, I mean, if she's humming to herself, then I'm gonna say she's pretty happy about this. I would do this all night if I could. We finally release each other as if the moment had lasted an eternity. Well, that was amazing. Yuri nods. We both have a hard time saying anything. I guess I'll see you soon then. Yeah, see you as well. Good night, Yuri. Good night, Caesar. I nod to Yuri and walk out the door, thinking to myself about how great this day has been. Wow, what an ending to what was otherwise a pretty boring day.
Look over at my shelf of knives.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Don't do it.
She's thinking about cutting herself.
You're happy now, aren't you? There's no need for that anymore. You're better than this. I pull up my sleeve and look at my arm. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Okay, so it seems like looking at the knives was the thing that triggered Yuri to want to partake in her addiction. And I think that most professionals say that one of the best ways to make sure that you don't have a relapse when you're getting over an addiction is to remove anything that might cause you to think about what you would want to indulge yourself in. So Yuri, with her knife collection, I wouldn't go so far as to say that it'd be good for her to get rid of them completely, because if she has a genuine interest in knives, then it'd be a shame if she had to just throw them all away. But if the knives are sitting there in her room, that means anytime that she's in her room relaxing, and is probably not in that willful of a state of mind, she could just look over and see the knives and just give in to that momentary temptation to cut herself. So my advice to Yuri in that situation would be to maybe relocate her knife collection to a part of the house that she's not going to see very often. She can still have them, and she can still appreciate the knives, and can still even collect them. just get the knives out of her room and over somewhere that she's not going to see very often, so that she's less likely to spot the knives and have that trigger her desire to cut herself. Just a little bit of analysis there. Anyway, guys, it's been a little over 25 minutes and we got through the first date chapter. So, I think this is a good place to stop. Looks like Act 2, Chapter 4, different taste, different interest. Let me go ahead and save here. I actually forgot to do that last time. But, alright, as I said, it kind of, the dial on this chapter was relatively boring, and then it got, it probably got a little bit too passionate too quickly, but, you know, it's a romance novel, and it's a mod for a romance novel, so these kinds of things will happen. But that'll do it for this episode, guys. We'll see what happens with Chapter 4 next time. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and until next time, I'm Cesar Madrazo, and I'm out.